Mr. President, did you hear what the President said about this piece of legislation? It's entitled Save America Act. How important it is to him? Earlier this week on social media, President Trump said, quote, "Only sick, demented, or deranged people in the House or Senate could vote against the Save America Act." And then he threatened, not to me, but on the other side of the aisle, to sink any Republican who doesn't fall in line. Here's what he said: "I will never, ever endorse anyone who votes against this legislation." What's going on here? What is it about this bill that the president is so exercised about? Why is he saying these outrageous and exaggerated things? I'll tell you. Because this legislation is the crown jewel in a grand scheme to rig the results of the upcoming midterm election. Some of my Republican colleagues have come to the floor to defend it, saying it's necessary to safeguard our elections. So let's just look at some facts. Facts. Let's pick a period of time. How about from 1999 to 2023, 24 years in American history? Every 2 years we have an election cycle, and 80 to 100,000 people are going to register to vote in each of those 2-year cycles. 80 to 100 million, excuse me, are going to register in those 2-year cycles. So in the period of time between 1999 and 2023, 24 years, 12 different election cycles, and millions of people registering to vote in the United States, how many were discovered to be falsifying their country of origin and to be illegal and unqualified to vote? Take a guess. 7 million, right? No. Well, 700,000. No. How about 700? No. 77 people were found to try to falsify where they were from to vote in a 24-year period of time. 77 in 24 years. And you say to yourself, and so this bill is a death by legislation for us, take it or leave it? I don't buy it. There's something more to the story. When I got involved in politics, the fellow who used to counsel me said, "Durbin, when you get in politics, there's always a good reason and a real reason. The good reason is voter fraud, but 77 in 24 years? We've got the cleanest, most accurate elections in the world. We ought to be proud of it. There's only one man who disagrees with that. He happens to be the president. He still has this big lie concept that he won in 2020. He'll go to his grave believing he won in 2020, but he didn't. He lost fair and square. He just can't accept defeat. It's beyond him. So you say to yourself, what does this bill do? Well, what this bill does is establish a standard for registering to vote in America. The current standards generated 77 violations in 24 years. They want to change them all. And you go through the first few pages, and the way they approach it is amazing. One, you want to register to vote? Present your passport. Well, guess what? More than half of Americans don't have a passport. You say, well, go buy a passport then. What's that going to involve? A $165 fee to pay for a passport in this country. If you want an expedited passport, it's another $60. So in order to vote, you have to buy a passport. You have to pay for a passport. It's kind of like a poll tax, isn't it? $165 if I want to vote in November. No thanks, I'll spend it on gasoline. I don't need to buy any passport. But that's what the bill says. It's one of the first provisions. And the second thing you can produce is your birth certificate to show you were born in the United States. Do you know where yours is? I don't know where mine is at home. It's in a box somewhere in the bedroom. I'll have to go looking for it. And if I find it, I'm okay. My wife's got a problem with hers. It has her maiden name on there. And she got married to me a few years back, happily I hope, and she doesn't identify by her maiden name any longer. But to prove she was born here, she's going to have to do some fancy footwork with documents to prove it. So I looked at this, and the interesting thing is what this is all about. There is a belief in the White House among the political leaders that they're going to do poorly in the November election. So they want to change the rules, and they want to keep some people from voting. How do you keep people from voting? Well, you set hurdles up like this. Give you an example. We have more support in the African American community than Republicans do. So if the Republicans want to enhance their chances of winning, they want to diminish the African American vote. So let's take a look at a few statistics. When it comes to passports, 42% of white Americans have a passport, 34% of African Americans. So if you demand a passport as proof to register to vote, that puts them in a slight disadvantage, doesn't it? How about birth certificates? 6 to 7% of all U.S. adults, that's 15 to 18 million, are in a situation where they have no easy access to proof by birth certificate. 6 to 7% of all U.S. adults. 11% when it comes to people of color. What's the problem? Some of them were born in the South. Some were born in segregated hospitals. Some of them were given a birth certificate and some were not. So there's a slight bias against African Americans when it comes to birth certificates. Well, how about government-issued photo IDs? 8% of white Americans don't have government-issued photo IDs. 8%. 25% of all African Americans do not. How about low-income people who may be inclined to vote for Democrats, perhaps? They're less likely to be able to prove their citizenship than those who are better off. So it isn't an algorithm, it's a bias that is built into this bill that says it'll be less likely that the people who are going to vote Democrat are going to register to vote. That's why it's so important to this president. That's why he's threatening members of his party. If you don't vote for it, I'll never support you. He feels that strongly about it. But I don't think it's fair. It's fundamentally unfair. If only 77 cases of voter fraud in 24 years, why in the world are we doing this? Why are we changing the rules? Why are we creating obstacles? Why are we forcing people to spend hundreds of dollars to go buy a passport so they can register to vote? If you are legally in America, and most people who vote overwhelmingly are, then you shouldn't face these obstacles. That's what this is all about, and it ought to come to an end with a big no vote on this floor. I'll be voting no. I'm sorry, the president won't be supporting me, but I'm not running again anyway. I yield the floor.